All right, good afternoon. Man, we're just had a few days off now, a couple weeks, ready to get back on the field and play. Well-rested team now, and last week I thought you guys did a great job coming out and working. I think a couple of things we're trying to get, a few things to get better at. You go back in the off week, you always look and see things that maybe you're a little deficient at, and certainly worked on those things. And then we also, scrimmaged the young guys 3 days last week, and got some good work out of them as well, which is fun. It's always good to see those guys and see progression that they're making. So that was good. But we're excited to get back at it. Playing a home game in front of our crowd, which is always awesome. Our 15th consecutive sellout, which is great. And homecoming, so there's always a lot of festivities surrounded with that. But and I'm sure we'll have some guys that'll come back. It'll be good to see. I haven't met several that I'll be able to meet, so that'll be great. And so we're excited about that. As you're heading into the another conference game, you look every week and see how even this league is and how many teams can win, and and it just shows that you gotta, the team that makes the least amount of mistakes, I think, is usually the ones that end up winning. I told our team Sunday there was the 5 teams that won this weekend created 13 turnovers compared to 2, and I think that's a huge difference. Obviously, if you take care of the football, you got a chance to win. And and I think you go back to our last game, the same stat was true. We had the block punt and the pick six. They didn't have any turnovers. And I think that's obviously a huge thing. I mean, because you look at us offensively and defensively, total defense, we're number 2 in the Big 12. We're 12th in the country in total offense. We're doing some good things offensively and defensively. Obviously, you got to score more and hold them to less, but I think it comes down to taking care of the ball and creating those turnovers defensively. I think that's obviously a huge thing that we have to do better at, and those are things that we try to work on this past week. And Iowa State, they've won 2 games in the Big 12, doing a lot of great things. I think Coach Campbell and his staff have done some good stuff. They got a young team playing a lot of young players, including the quarterback, and the way they've won is what I just talked about, making teams make mistakes, and them not making mistakes. They have not given up a sack this year, or 3 sacks this year, which is really, really good. Have not lost a fumble this year. That's how you win, and they're doing some really good things with that. Defensively, I think it was finished top 6 or top 3 in defense in the Big 12 in the last 6 years. So they're always good, have been good on defense. It's a unique defense, a little bit different than what a lot of teams play. Based out of a 3-down, they'll drop 8 a lot, and then just do a number of things. Basically playing on 5 DBs back there, and they do a really nice job defensively. And it's a great challenge again for us, but glad we're playing here in our stadium.
It looked like offensively they started to figure some things out against Oklahoma. Did you see another progression last week from them? Because it looked like you mentioned the youth, their youth on offense is maybe starting to figure it out.
Yeah, I think the quarterback's starting to get settled in there. I thought he played well against Oklahoma State. Sat in there and threw some nice touchdown passes and big plays in the passing. And I think, they want to run the football. They're going to do some things offensively, getting some unbalance and shifts and motions and all the things to try to mess up defenses, and then run the ball. But their quarterback has done a really nice job of finding their receivers and making some big plays. And I think, that's given them a great chance, and they've won a few games that way. Even in the Oklahoma game, it's a 21-20 game with 6 minutes to go in the first half, and it kind of got away from them a little bit there. But, I still think, they're a team that plays with a lot of pride, and they play hard, and I think, they're getting better offensively. It gives them a chance to win.
Does it help knowing Matt Campbell from 2009 and looking at that was a heck of a staff there?
Yeah, we had a good staff. Yeah, we had a fun staff there. Offensive staff, there's 4 head coaches off the offensive staff, and a lot of good guys and that have done a lot of great things in the coaching profession. But enjoyed my time there working with Matt and the other guys as well. Does it help you? I don't know if it helps. I'm just familiar with him, and I'm familiar with how he runs his program. you know, and how they're coaching there. And you know, we got a lot of respect for them, and you know, they've been really, really good at Iowa State over the years, and they've taken a lot of players that maybe people didn't want coming out of high school, and they turned them into great players. So their development's really, really good. You know, Purdy, who's with the 49ers, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, of course, played there, and they did some great things when he was there. And you know, now they got another kid who's very similar, who's a freshman, very young, but making a lot of similar type decisions and type throws. And you know, you know, just again, a lot of respect for Matt and how they run their program.
You mentioned you had a scrimmage with a lot of the younger guys. Who were some younger guys that really popped off the page or gave you some clarity through the next 3 years to expect something?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Barry Jackson's a guy. We saw him in the EKU game. You know, hadn't played since then, and you know, he got some action. I think he scored a couple of times. You know, whenever he touches the ball, he's very electric. Masari is another receiver that has been great for our scout teams and for our defense, and he was a guy that I think he scored a couple of touchdowns as well. Bird, running back, I think he did some really nice things, and even to the point where, you know, we may end up traveling him and you know, could possibly see some action in the game. I thought he did some really nice things. You know, and I think, you know, defensively, there's a lot of young guys and you know, kind of, you know, several different ones I thought, you know, made some plays out there. But I think more than anything, I think it was the receivers that I thought that were doing some nice things out there in those 3 days we scrimmaged.
Looking ahead to Iowa State, Jeremiah Cooper leads the nation with 4 interceptions on the season. What stands out to you when you see him on tape? Yeah,
I mean, he's very athletic, has good hips, can run. You know, they're an aggressive secondary. You know, they're physical secondary. They're going to mix it up with the receivers. You know, there's a lot of tight throws. You know, there's not like where you have some big windows there. They're tight throws, and they're on their guys pretty heavily. And he does a really good job of at that safety position over a number 2 receiver of really just coming down. And teams are trying to throw, you know, little 8 to 10 yard routes, and he just jumped them. He did against Oklahoma. It was a nice little pivot route by Stoops, and he undercut it and picked it off. He's got nice anticipation, and the way their scheme, their safeties have an opportunity to get interceptions. The way they rotate their safeties and roll their coverages. And I think, you know, number 4 is the guy you're mentioning. I think number 17 is another guy who's made some great plays in the run game and in the pass game. And I think this is their scheme. They do a nice job with that.
Scott, some coaches during a bye week may schedule a fun team bonding, something just to break the monotony of the season. Do you subscribe to that typically, and did you guys do anything differently this week?
I mean, I think the fun was the young guy scrimmage, like, you know, which to me is a great team bonding because our guys that have been traveling and playing, they're all right there, and they're like cheerleaders out there. I mean, they're right behind the offense and defense, and just, you know, after every play, I felt like, you know, guys are going up and dapping them up, you know, chest bumping and all that. And I think that, and it's only for 10 or 15 minutes in the practice, but it was awesome. Like, matter of fact, Sunday we came out of practice and a couple of the older guys, Coach, we're going to do the young guy scrimmage again today? Like, they love it, you know. So to me, that part's been fun. I think more than anything, you know, we use it as a time to rest, recover. You know, so our guys were in the training room, in the weight room, just doing a lot of rehab and things to get their bodies healthy. Had a few meals together as a team last week, but I think more than anything, the bonding part was and the fun part at practice was the young guy scrimmage at the end.
Your teams have traditionally produced a big number of 40-plus, 50-plus yard plays, usually among the most in the country. That has been lacking over these last 3 weeks. Is there any point of emphasis in a bye week where you can kind of examine maybe what was missed, or were the plays there and you weren't making them, or you know, how do you diagnose that?
I mean, I think one thing is, you know, we don't have explosive running backs. I think that's a big stat. I go back to my offenses over the last 10 or 12 years. We've had eight running back over the years that can go 80 yards. Our guys will get you the first down, you know, but we've seen it this year where, you know, we break out for a 30 or 40 yard run and then we're getting tackled. But I think that's one thing, the reason why you don't have the 60, 70, 80 yard plays. And then, you know, we've had some opportunities in the passing game for those. If I can recall, at least 4 that we didn't connect. whether we get hit, the quarterback gets hit, or we overthrow it, or something like that goes wrong within the play. And, I think that's been the difference in the big plays, and if you get a couple of those, man, certainly be able to sit here a little bit differently right now. And they're out there, and I think we're close to hitting some of those. Hopefully this week we'll be able to hit those. I think, you're just one step off, or there's just, man, it's just a small little fine window to make those plays happen, and hopefully we'll be able to get those.
On the topic of the open week, there was a lot of talk going into BYU that there was a lot of fatigue on this team, and some guys were banged up. How timely was to get the bye for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's a good time. I think middle of the season, whether I be out to the 5th game or 6th game, right in there is probably the best time to do it. I think we were banged up a little bit last week, and we're getting some guys back, and I think they're feeling better. You're still going to have some dings and bruises at this point in the season. It's hard to get completely healed up. But I think we're, as healthy as you can be at this point in the season. And after a week off, our guys, you kind of renew your mind as well. I think the mental part of that, I think also helps. And so, hopefully today we'll go. I think we'll be flying around today. I thought Sunday was really, really good. And so I do think we're, where we needed to be this time of year as far as health goes.
What was your kind of message after BYU to the team now that they've had like 2 weeks to get ready for their next game? What was the goal you wanted them to accomplish?
Yeah, I think the bye week was any deficiencies that we had. We self-scouted the whole team, and where we have some deficiencies, we got to get better. We've given up some big plays, and particularly third downs and long. We got to get better at that and not giving up those first downs. Obviously in offensively, it's short yardage and red zone. Those are the things we worked on in the bye week. Hopefully, you have a better plan as we head through this second half of the season. And the message is to taking care of the football and creating turnover. Those are the two things that we have to do a better job of. And like as I mentioned earlier, this is that's the big difference when you're playing very competitive teams on a weekly basis. It comes down to those few mistakes, and so the team that makes the least has got the best chance to win. And that's why we have to be better.
Obviously a tough 3-game stretch, but in your first year as a head coach at App State, you started 1-5 and rattled off 6 straight wins. What do you remember about that time, and maybe what adjustments you had to make and how it shaped you as a coach now?
Yeah, I think during that time, it was hard. Anytime you're going through something, you're not getting the victories that you want. And I think a lot of times everybody, and that's what everybody cares about. At the end of the day, the wins and losses. We make the field goal against Miami. Oh, okay, that's we beat them. We played pretty good in that game, but you beat them if you make that. You didn't, so now people tend to think the sky's falling. And I think the message was back then, and it still is now, is continue to doing the things that we're doing. We're doing some really good stuff, and we were back then. You just couldn't get over the hump. and I think once you realize that you make a few more plays in a game, that's the difference. You don't go over. You don't have to overhaul and do all this crazy stuff. We've done a lot of really, really good things, and so you just continue to do the things, and you just try to fine tune and get better and better each and every week in the things that you're doing. And I think at the end of the day, certain players have to step up and be able to make more plays. Who are those guys? And I look back at that time, at App State, and there were some guys that ended up stepping up, starting to make plays. They got confidence, and then you go on a roll, and you feel like nobody can beat you. And it's such a fine line for that. And so I think it's just continuing to work and continuing to believe in what we're doing, and and that hard work will pay off.
Obviously, you watched a lot of football over the weekend. Do you take anything from that Oklahoma game where you still held them to 20 and you were minus 2 defensive starters?
Yeah, it just says that we can compete and we can play at the Big 12 level. We can compete with these teams. It was a great football game, and and again, I look at it. It comes back to turnovers. Of Texas, the first 2 drives, 2 interceptions, including one inside the, was it 10-yard line, and and Texas was able to get back to it because they blocked a punt and scored a touchdown, and so. And it probably wouldn't have been as close as it was had they not done that. But, what it says is that we can go out and compete with some of the best teams in the country. I don't even know where Oklahoma's ranked now, but probably pretty high. And you go out there and you go toe-to-toe with those guys, and a few plays here or there could have been a different game. So, Again, we're not that far off. We got to continue to do the things we're doing, continue to fine tune, in all three phases, and find a way to make one or two more plays in every game. And, we're sitting here and you go win some games. There's no question.
Ryan and Keegan.
Shamon Taylor had a big game against BYU. Can you just discuss his importance to the offense as well as going forward, how to get him more involved?
Yeah, I mean, he's, I think he's continued to get better and better. And I think, I still think he's not even scratched the surface of where he can be. I think he can be, one of the better tight ends in this league. And he's got the size, he's got the hands, speed, and so it's good to see him make plays. I think that gives him some confidence, to know that, man, I can do this. Let me continue to work hard on my game, and we can certainly utilize him. But I think he's a guy that puts pressure on the defense because of the matchup problems that it happens with him. He's a 6'4", 6'5", 250-pound guy that can move, and so we'll find other ways that we can get him the ball and produce. And I love the fact that he caught 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's the thing that we've been striving to do is, obviously to score. And to be able to utilize him when you get down the red zone, I think it's going to be a weapon for us as we move forward.
When you were asked about 50-plus yard plays, one of your answers was that you don't have explosive running backs here. You brought in a lot of transfers. Why wasn't an explosive running back higher on the priority list?
Well, we had, I think we got 5, maybe 6 on scholarship. You just can't get overloaded in one position. And not to say I don't believe in our guys. I believe in our guys because, we're top 12 in the country in rushing. So, they're doing something right. It just spoke to the big play. The 60-yarder, the 70-yarder. I'll take 25-yard runs, 30-yard runs. We'll take those. And those guys are running hard. You never question that. And so, but I think, we felt that those guys could come and help us win. And they have. They've done a great job. It just speaks to the 60-yard play, the 70-yard play, the 80-yard play, where it takes guys that are, have that elite speed at that position.
When you do recruit, how much do you take speed and explosivity into account as opposed to other attributes that a player could have?
It's pretty high priority. Now, I don't think you can't just have, all 175-pound dudes that can fly. You better have some guys with some size and strength as well. So you want some different tools in the toolbox. I think you want to be able to have a little variety. And that goes for receiver, that goes for running back, your tight ends. Sometimes your tight ends are great blockers. Sometimes they're very good at stretching the field in the throw game. So to me, you want to have a little bit of utility players in a lot of different areas that if you need to dial somebody up to knock the top off, you better have a speed guy. But if you want a good guy underneath, you better have a guy that's got great hands and good spatial awareness. So there's a lot of different things that you're looking at when you're going out recruiting.
Any other questions for Coach?
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.